Moralis Web3 Online. This is the podcast. What you never knew you needed. Ready to broadcast. Coming to you live anywhere, anytime. Decentralized entertainment mixed with a rhyme. This is the Moralis Web3 podcast. Listen all the time from wherever you're at. Coming to you live, bringing the facts. Exclusively online. Press play and kick back. GM Moralis users and podcast attendees, we're so happy to have you guys here again this week for another Moralis Web3 community podcast. So this week I'm joining you solo, but not entirely solo. I'm without my normal co-host Bill, who's fallen ill this week. So we hope that he feels better soon and is able to join us next week as normal. This week, however, we do have a lot of great things lined up to talk about. I'm pulling up my notes right here so we can dive into it. And I also have a special guest to introduce to everybody. So before we get going, let me bring Kresimir onto the stage. Kresimir is part of our sales team. He's a longtime team member of Moralis, one of my friends who I'm happy to work with, and just really happy to share the stage with him today. Kresimir, welcome to the stage. How are you doing?
Hello, everybody. Pleasure to be here. Thank you, Phil, for the amazing words. I can only say likewise. Been a pleasure to know you, to work with you, and to serve our community together. How's everybody doing?
Wonderful. Well, thank you for that that introduction there, Kresimir. So we're going to be a little bit less, we're always pretty informal, but we're going to be a little less formal today because I don't have my normal co-host. But I do have lined up here a series of things to talk about. So if you're joining us for the very first time, maybe this is your very first Moralis Web3 podcast, first thing I want you to do is hit that like and subscribe button. We want to see you here every week. This is the podcast for the real true believers of Web3. If you understand Web3, if you know where this world is going in terms of the metaverse, remote work, development, those types of things, or maybe you don't know and you want to know, this is the podcast for you. So that's what we're all about. We're about empowering developers, turning Web 2 developers into Web 3 developers. We have an academy for that. We have hands-on assistance for that. We have everything, really, to take you from wherever you're at and bring you into the world of Web3 development. That includes starting from scratch, by the way. So if you're tuning in for the first time and you've never coded a line of JavaScript before, we have the Academy for you. Check out the Moralis Web3 Academy, and we can help you out there. Now, let's get into the special things for today. Now, as many of you know, this week is American Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody in the U.S. who's celebrating that here tomorrow. I'm going to be visiting with my family. My brother and sister and their spouses are all coming over to my parents. It's going to be a huge affair. And one of the things that we always like to talk about in America when we're having Thanksgiving is things that we're thankful for. Obviously, we get together, we eat tons of food, we do all those types of things. We invite our extended family and we all get together and all of that's fun. But what's the whole point? The whole point is to show gratitude among each other for the things that make our life wonderful and that and the important things that we're doing every day to make this world a better place. So I want to do that publicly with you guys today. I am grateful and thankful to all of you, to our Web3 community, because without you guys, we really wouldn't have anything. At the end of the day, Moralis can give all of the cool and exciting tools that you've ever imagined in your life, but unless people come and start to use those and develop their own ideas around them, just having the software there wouldn't mean anything. So the first thing I'm grateful to is our wonderful community. And thank you to everybody who's joining us on the stream here today. If you are, and go ahead and tell me where you're tuning in from. If you're in America, you can tell me what state. If you're not, if you're somewhere else in the world, tell me where that is. This is an exciting time because in America, we usually consider the Thanksgiving the start of the holiday season. And that's a holiday season that I know we all celebrate internationally, even though we all have different cultures and different traditions and different, religious beliefs. This is an exciting time of year for all of us for all those different reasons. And we can celebrate that together and begin celebrating that together today. Kresimir, I wanted to hand it over to you a little bit. And I know that where you are in Europe, they don't really celebrate Thanksgiving per se, but that the holiday season, which is coming up soon, is a big thing. So is this about the time of year where your people in where you live start to get excited about Christmas?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Phil. Indeed, we don't per se celebrate Thanksgiving, but we are preparing for Christmas, and the cities are pretty much very well equipped with all the beautiful lightning and everything that comes with it. So it's a really cozy and warm place anywhere you go in Europe. I've been to a couple of the cities already throughout Europe, so I can definitely confirm that it's really becoming beautiful.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, that's great to hear that we're all kind of embracing that holiday season feeling all around the world, even on opposite sides of the globe. That's one of the things I love about working in Web3. While other companies are sitting there and they're thinking, how are we going to do remote work? How are we going to properly manage our people when they're not coming into our office every day and sitting in the seat that we assigned them? How is this going to work? And in Moralis, we're like, this is our day-to-day operations. We already are there. Now we have a day one mentality. Every single day we start, we put forward everything that we can into our work. And then we have a community, you guys, who behave in very much the same way with us. I'm so excited and empowered every time we have a hackathon to see all the results coming in. And last week I talked about the results that were coming in for the Moralis Cross Google Defining DeFi Hackathon. And now we're starting to get some of the judging results in. And I can't say a whole lot on it yet because the results are not yet public. They'll be public on Monday. Let me take now to explain. If you're joining us now and you are expecting a closing ceremony today, I do have to tell you that is postponed until Monday for the hackathon. The reason for that is we needed additional time to make sure that all of the judges were able to assign the prizes as they were earned and deserved across the board. We also have some special announcements because we're going to continue developing and building with rewards available through the end of the year. And there's very, very exciting announcements associated with that. So I want everybody to know to save the time on your calendars for that award ceremony on Monday, because regardless of how you felt about the project you turned in, you may have some additional opportunities centering around continued development on that. So more on that to come. You don't want to miss that close or that awards ceremony on Monday. But if you do, there will be a recording as well. So look for that. Now, I wanted to also get into what I keep hinting at about Moralis powered showcases. I know I keep talking about this internally and externally quite a bit, and there's no doubt that I want to build excitement for it. And we are getting closer by the week. So the first step, as I reminded everybody last week, was announcing the winners for the past hackathon. Once we've announced those winners, we're going to be looking at the non-winning submitters for further development on their dApps and initial showcasing. This is after we finish the showcasing of all the winners, which is going to take place over the course of the next couple of weeks, starting with that awards ceremony where all winner information will be disclosed. That again is the reason why we pushed it back. We want there to be no confusion when we say these are the winners. We're giving full winner information at that time without any unknowns or anything like that, because the number, like I say, I always say this, but I truly believe it. The number one thing that I'm concerned with here is that you guys have a good experience developing with Moralis and participating in these events, because I know that a lot of you, really do count on that. And we're here to support you in that. So anyhow, before I keep talking your ear off forever, I want to get into a short interview here with our guest, Kresimir. Now, Kresimir, again, works with our sales department. And tell us a little bit about that. Now, what do you do with Moralis sales? And I've got some follow-up questions, too, after that.
Of course. Thank you, Phil. Thanks a lot. So I work in sales. A couple of probably a lot of you, I hope, might know me already. And I deal with any kind of customers, clients, relating from small app developers, medium, larger enterprises, everything in between. We're really happy to assist anybody on the way of development. So my day-to-day work consists of a lot of communication with different developers, with different projects, project owners, and similar, bringing their ideas to market, knowing what works, knowing what doesn't work, recommending them those best practices that we've seen occur through with other projects. So my life is really excited to serve in that particular manner.
We're getting a question in the chat for you already, Kresimir. I'm just going to throw it up here. I'm not sure if are you in Dubai right now. I know that you hail originally from Central Europe, so it just it looks like there's some followers of your global adventures.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Alexander. I've been to Dubai. I've lived there for a couple of months this year. I come from Croatia. I was born and raised in Croatia. It's a country in Central Europe. You might know it for football or tourism, for the matter. And I've also had the pleasure to travel to different countries across the globe, including Europe and Southeast Asia, Dubai also being one of them as part of the Middle East. And to answer your question, Alexander, it's great. It's something unique. It's something to try out. It's really a mix of the cultures. Like you have a lot of cultures from the West, from the East, from the Europe. So it's really something definitely to worth visiting.
I see that this plays right into what we're talking about with global culture and breaking down old barriers and becoming a global community that believes in, the future of humanity together. Alexander, excited to announce while he's from Bulgaria, he's going to be celebrating with friends from Tennessee tomorrow. Excellent. Wonderful. Now, Tennessee, I'm in Michigan, so Tennessee is a couple hours south of me, but good old American folks there too as well. And so that's exciting to hear. Enjoy that time with friends for sure. All right. So, Kresimir, let's continue here with the next question I have ready for you. So in sales, what are some of the things that you help to introduce to new prospective clients? So on our sales side, because as we know, Moralis is a enterprise level production software. So even if you're starting with us for the first time, you're learning with a tool that can take you all the way to a multi-million-dollar enterprise. And but how does that conversation look maybe differently when you're talking with somebody who just is checking out Moralis for the first time and they're an at-home coder, as opposed to somebody who runs an organization and might be considering expanding their infrastructure into Web3?
Absolutely, absolutely. I've had the pleasure of working with both and any in between. So it's about solving different problems from different perspectives. Somebody starting out as a single developer in Web 2, starting to transition to Web 3, might have different problems than the traditional, more so enterprises that are looking to move to Web 3, or the existing Web 3 projects that are looking to enhance the infrastructure or expand to multiple chains, which is also our specialty. So it's really exciting to be speaking to both ends of the spectrum and seeing what really gives a concern to developers of the small projects, of the large enterprises, and medium as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Looks like we have a follow-up question in the chat, actually. I'm going to go ahead and pop this up here. Have you ever seen an increase in certain types of customers? What would give you an idea of where the industry is heading, like small dApp developers or large companies? So I guess, and this, I know that this can be a little bit biased towards the type of clients that you've been working with lately, but what's the impression that you get? Do we have more enthusiasm and energy among our grassroots developers right now, or more enterprise interest? How's that look today?
Thank you for the question, Semidius. Good question. So I can say that we have started to see a larger amount of enterprises really being interested in building in Web3. So we have not seen the decline in building so much as opposed to compared to the recent market events and further recent start of the bear market. So we are really happy on that side. We have not seen a downfall of the building. People continue to build, developers continue to build. And there haven't been any certain type of customers, but there have been a lot of use cases regarding NFTs, analytics, portfolio trackings, and similar. Also, the gaming space itself is coming into Web3 very nicely.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's consistent with what I've been hearing as well, and I'm glad to hear that we're still building strong, because this is something I like to remind every podcast. There are so many protocols that are very important to the existence of DeFi today, and they were developed during the bear market. You know, things like Aave, Compound, MakerDAO. These are all bear market tools that had their heyday in the bull market, which happened later. I think it's a little bit like when you're building a skyscraper. So for those of you who aren't aware, when you build a skyscraper, the vast majority of the time, you are not going to use every single room in that for your company. You're going to rent some of it out, because that high-rise business, offices are very desirable. And you can obviously recoup many of your costs for building it over the course of years by renting out that space. Think about your dApp development in a similar way. When you first start, you're going to be investing time and maybe some money on launching your project. Just like when you have to buy the land before you build a skyscraper. You might even, in that case, have to tear down the old building before you build the new one. And all of this is incurring costs. You're not seeing any revenues. Now, maybe you have investors if you're fortunate, or maybe you're operating off your own revenues. But even the next step, you're not seeing payoff yet. The next step is you have to build the skyscraper. So you're paying contractors, and you're paying for materials, and you're monitoring a timetable, which costs your time, which is also money. And so you're building the whole time, but are you seeing any payoff? No. And well, then finally you open it, and now you have to hire salespeople, and now you have to make sure that you can actually lease all of those offices. You have to hire the fire inspector to make sure that there's proper exits in case there's a catastrophe in the building, something like that. You have to do all these things. Then finally, you start to get some revenue. And hopefully it's enough that you're profitable within a few years. But all of this is the boldness that it takes in order to create major infrastructure. And I believe that in Web3, the infrastructure that we are designing and creating is as real as any skyscraper that has ever been built, is as real as any wonder of the world that's existed for thousands of years. It's 100% real, and it affects our lives, and it affects our ability to feed our families, to improve our livelihood, and to really improve the livelihood of all people on the planet, to establish new standards of minimum living, one way or the other. I mean, because that's what all this comes down to at the end of the day. We're trying to replace arguably the most bloated piece of international infrastructure in existence, and that's traditional finance. And I don't pull any punches about that, because I don't love traditional finance, and it hasn't done good by me, much like I think a lot of you are feeling as well. So what are we embarking on today together? Well, we're building a skyscraper, and we're building infrastructure that will replace the old infrastructure. Of course, in this case, we don't have the luxury of buying the old infrastructure first and tearing it down, so they have no choice but to use the new thing. Instead, we need to build our new thing better than what exists, so that we can literally replace it by consensus of the entire world. That at one point the entire world says, yes, this is better. Let's do it the better way instead of the old way. And I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but I always get excited when we talk about the different types of developers that we're empowering, because it's all one cog and one little piece in this giant machine that will produce a better world for us, or it has the ability to. And it's up to us to build out those individual facets. Let me move on to the next question here for you, Kresimir, before I go off on another speech here about how much I love Web3. um, the what now when you are talking with different groups, do you ever get similar questions in terms of how to get started with Moralis? Now, this is a two-part question, because how to get started for me at home by myself is different than how to get started when I'm a company. But what I'm getting at here is we have some collaboration tools built into Moralis, and I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about those tools and how those make Moralis a great place to start, not only for individuals, but also for teams and even small teams.
Absolutely, Phil. First to say, as you mentioned before you move to the next topic, I absolutely share the enthusiasm of Web3 with you completely. So you're not alone in that manner.
Kresimir, that's why we're friends.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
But
And
please
to answer your question, thank you. To answer your question is both an individual developer and the company, as you mentioned, both are trying to solve the same problem, which Moralis essentially solves for them. It's about how to start in Web3. It's about how to connect to the blockchain, how to integrate and handle the data, manage user sessions, get real-time alerts, and everything, to go into technical details. So that's what we're solving for them. When it comes to different tools that we also have on top of the given solutions, is we have things like a Teams feature where you can invite your team into account, set different permissions and levels of access to your account for smooth team operations. And other tools like as well, we have the new onboarding that is live. Once you sign up or go through your account, you will get asked different questions, you will get pointed in different directions, and we will also get a chance to try out, make some API calls and receive some streams straight from your user interface without actually having to go outside. So we are developing a couple of great tools to facilitate entry to the Web3 as much as possible.
Wonderful, wonderful. I see we have a couple questions in the chat regarding partner integrations. Now, I'm bringing this up because I do see your question. Now, I'm not prepared to discuss any of our partner integrations, mostly because that's not the team that I personally work with. But what I can tell you is I would like to have one of our CEOs on this podcast at some point to answer those types of questions. So please, I'm not saying that we won't answer those. I'm just saying I want to be able to get you guys a full answer on that, and also be able to answer additional questions you might have. So let's hold questions on Moralis partnerships until we have a guest on who's going to know a little bit more deep information on that. But great question, though. Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, looking at another question here. The only centralized. I'm going to pull this up here. The only viable future is decentralized, in my opinion. Centralized abstract power structures seem to be the main source of issues in this world. This is a really great comment, B. Valentine. Let me add to this. Something my dad used to say when I was growing up was that absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't know exactly where that quote comes from, but it's a statement which illustrates a problem with too much power in general. I'm thankful that at Moralis, we have an organization which is very communal and very open to suggestions from every level. It doesn't matter if it's your first day. If you've got something important to say, we're gonna listen up, we're gonna hear what it is, and we're gonna give you space to talk about that. We try to do the same thing in our community. I don't care if you're brand new with us and you never heard of Moralis before. Jump in the Discord, tell us what you think, because we care about your opinion. It's this type of thinking that avoids these, can we say toxic power structures? Maybe that word's a little overused, but I think it applies in this particular situation. When we're seeing things like the fall of FTX, that's a toxic power structure. And what I get scared about with this is that maybe if we're not careful, we're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater too much. And sorry for that turn of phrase if you're not familiar with it. Well, basically what it means is that when we're getting rid of things that we don't want and don't need, we want to not also remove things which are important and valuable to what we're trying to accomplish. A good example of this is there's given harsh criticism right now, as I've been following the FTX situation regarding the auditing offices being in Decentraland. And part of this is the legal documents which are being produced by FTX are confusing on this. They'll say, oh, the address is in the metaverse. And it's like, in the metaverse, what the heck does that mean? You talking about GatherTown that we run? Or are you talking about Mark Zuckerberg's thing he calls Meta that nobody really knows what it is, and I don't know anybody who uses it? Or are you talking about Decentraland, which actually is a decentralized platform which runs on a blockchain and at least has some elements of trustlessness? Like, which of these are you talking about? And the term metaverse to an outsider means all of those things. It may even mean some other things that I'm not even thinking of. So to say, oh yeah, that office is in the metaverse, super unuseful. I would much rather they had said, oh, that office is on a largely decentralized platform known as Decentraland. What is Decentraland? Decentraland is a metaverse option that's available today in which you can host a virtual office, home, or entertainment space. I mean, that type of definition says, oh, it's a virtual place that really exists, that's maintained somehow, in this case through a consortium of nodes, and that's how it exists. It's not like it's nothing, it's something. And saying, oh, the first auditing office in the metaverse really does a discredit to exactly what's going on here. I would love it if we could have real offices in the, like, I would love it if I could walk into Decentraland, walk into the FedEx office in Decentraland, talk to a real person who's in there, and schedule a pickup for the package that I need today. That would be amazing customer experience. Would that office, if they provided that service, be a real FedEx office? You betcha. They'd be 100% real, just as real as me calling FedEx on the phone. So the space of Decentraland is legitimate as we want it to be. And when we try to say, oh, it's so irresponsible that they had this office in Decentraland, it's like, well, would an office in Decentraland be sufficient all on its own for a high-profile organization? Probably not. Could it be one of the office locations? Absolutely. Like, if we don't believe that it could be, then do we really believe in metaverses and Web3? And I would say, not 100% if we don't believe that Decentraland can be legitimate. And it's unfortunate that it's all caught up in this controversy. And hopefully, there's some coming back from this. Maybe Decentraland isn't the platform that makes legitimate metaverse experiences on a business level. It would be great if it was. I'd like to see somebody take up that mantle, if not them. Any thoughts on that, Kresimir?
Absolutely, I agree. To an outsider or somebody who is not very much familiar with either the terminology or how we view Web3 and what's our perspective on Web3, we might have different meanings. So we should definitely get more educated as well. We should read more. We should get more familiar with what's happening in the space, with the Web3 in general. And I hope our community is already familiar with it, but we should always aim to spread the voice further.
Well, and this is something I think Moralis has held as an ethos for a very long time. We don't want competitors. Competitors are not helpful to us right now. And by which I mean, we don't want to identify other Web3 players as competitors. I'd much rather find a way that we can work together with those other Web3 players and build a community. Because when we're where we are right now, deep bear market, everybody's a little bit wrecked right now, but we're still building and we still believe in the future. What do we need right now? We need community. We need who is the, like, if we're going to talk in terms of enemies, who is the enemy? Inefficiency, inability to access money for people in developing nations, hyperinflation. These are enemies. And do we always completely abolish them with the things that we produce in DeFi and Web3? No, not always, but it's our goal. And it's all about incremental growth. Can we do a little bit better this time than we did last time? If Decentraland is completely demonized because of this auditing firm, which had an office there and then turned out to be basically a scam, if that ruins Decentraland, let's not let it ruin the idea. How do we do it better next time? What's second iteration look like? We talk a lot about iteration at Moralis, and I think that that's an important mindset to have when you're in development. Because if you try to, there's something I used to say back when I was a restaurant manager, and I think it reigns true in all sorts of industries. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that's true for coding as well. It's absolutely true for coding. How do you develop a lending system which is better than Aave? Well, maybe you start with their model and you think of the simplest thing that you could improve. Maybe you look at comparison between Aave and Compound. I always love to bring up those examples. So there are others too. But you look at them and you see, where is one doing something better than the other? And can I make a hybrid that capitalizes on the advantages of both? I mean, we could do this with other dApps as well, but let's think in terms of taking one step forward rather than allowing ourselves to become paralyzed at any point. Not that that's happening, but I want to remind everybody, you don't need to get all the way there in one step. It's a step of 1,000 journeys. So let it be that, or there's a journey of 1,000 steps. Sorry. So let it be that. And if you're ever feeling discouraged, reach out to us in Telegram, reach out to us on Discord, reach out to me by email. We're here to support you guys. And so when I say I love Web3, I mean, I love you guys. I'm grateful to you guys. I'm grateful to our community. I'm grateful to Moralis and our team. And that's why I'm so excited to be talking about development the week of Thanksgiving, at least for me. And of course, excited to be talking about Moralis sales as well. So speaking of getting excited about Moralis, everybody can see I'm wearing a new piece of Moralis merch today. And we do have a loaded Moralis merch store as we enter this holiday season. At the end of the day, what's Moralis merch about? Moralis merch is about showing how excited you are about using Moralis and telling other people about it. We try to keep the costs there low with international shipping that's accessible for everybody as much as we can. So that's what it's all about. Let me know, and we'll try to do some giveaways and stuff in weeks to come as well. Nothing for that today, but teasing it today a little bit. We'll try to do that in the future. That said, let me pull up our current merch store so you guys can take a look at that. I believe this shirt is supposed to be available there, but maybe won't be up for a couple of days. I'm checking into that right now, but just going to share my screen real quick and show you guys where you can get merch like this or any number of other things that we offer there. Our full catalog is available here, 4 pages of different items. We also have special items for Web3 Donnas. If you're not familiar with Web3 Donnas, that is our specific group designed to empower women who are starting in Web3, because we know that there is a disconnect between the number of women and the number of men in this industry. And at the end of the day, we're all about inclusivity. So how do we encourage more women in Web3? Because that's what we want. Well, this is a small way that we do that through the Web3 Donnas initiative. And if you're watching right now and you want to get something going locally related to Web3 Donnas or Moralis development, reach out to me because I'm happy to help with that as well. You know, this is something we're doing together, building up this Moralis movement. That said, take a look at that at your own time. The website is merch.moralis.io, and happy to answer any questions on that as well. All right. Kresimir, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a really fun live stream in spite of the fact that we were missing Bill today. He's going to be disappointed that he missed this one, I think.
I believe so. Thanks for having me today. Really pleasure to do this for the first time.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm seeing a comment from Ivan here. He's complimenting my haircut. I really do like my new haircut, so I'll point that out. Thank you, Ivan. Yeah, I'm feeling I'm feeling like one of those guys in a real sharp suit with the high and tight on the side. I don't know. It's got me in a good mood and ready to dive into development. All right. So, also, there are newly added to the merch site. I didn't point this out. Merch for your babies. So if you are one of those who are fortunate to be welcoming a new person into the world this year, then surely check that out because that's something we want to celebrate with you as well. So anyway, moving on from here, we're going to be in GatherTown here in about 15 minutes. Now, if you're watching right now and there was something you wanted to ask, but maybe you'd rather ask me one-on-one, I'm going to be there for at least 30 minutes starting in about 15 minutes. So join me over there. I'm going to throw a link in Discord. So if you don't have the link to GatherTown, click the Discord link below. Join our Discord and go to the general channel there where I'm going to post a link to GatherTown so we can have a little town hall discussion, and that'll be a lot of fun as well. Kresimir, did you have anything else to share with our audience today before we end this live stream?
I just wanted to say thank you all very much. It's a pleasure to have you. It's a pleasure to have you be a part of Moralis, as always. It's really been a good experience, and we're going to do great things together. See you in GatherTown.
So one other thing I saw here, I missed from Ivan. I'm going to bring this up next week. So not everybody on this podcast knows this. This is something to look forward to for next week. I have worked in a lot of different industries. I talked about being a cook here a little bit today. I want to share that journey with you guys, the abbreviated version next week a little bit, and talk to you about why I believe that what we're doing in Web3 is something that everybody in the world can be a part of. Now, Ivan talks about this sometimes when he says, oh, of course we need you in Web3. What do you do? What are you interested in? And the reason why we frame it that way is no matter what you're interested in or what you do, there's a way to get involved with this. I don't care if you're selling on Etsy socks that you knit yourself. There's a way to do that in Web3. And maybe you've heard of Unisocks as an example, but anything you can think of, there's a way to bring that into this new world that we're talking about. We want to help you do that. We want to talk about that journey with you. Thank you again, Kresimir. Thank you to all of you who are part of our community. I will see you guys in GatherTown in about 15 minutes. Have a great rest of the day and see you there.
Thanks, everybody.